My landlord's AI raised my rent to $9,000 a month. So I used the same algorithm to bankrupt him. The elevator shuddered, let out a metallic groan that sounded like a dying whale, and stopped abruptly between the 4th and 5th floors. Again. I stared at the panel, watching the floor indicator flicker and die, plunging me into a darkness that smelled of stale gym socks and neglect. It was Tuesday morning. This was the 3rd time this week. I sighed, pulling out my phone to illuminate the emergency call button, but before I could press it, the car jerked downward, slamming into the 4th floor landing with a bone-rattling thud. The doors slid open with a screech. "Welcome home," I muttered, stepping out into the hallway where half the light bulbs were burnt out, creating a strobe-light effect that was less disco and more haunted asylum. I walked to my apartment, Unit 402, stepping over a stain on the carpet that had been there since the Bush administration. My phone buzzed in my pocket. An email notification. From Pineview Management Corp. Subject: Lease renewal offer, action required. I unlocked my door and walked into my kitchen, tossing my keys on the counter. My lease was up in 60 days. I was paying $2,000 a month for a one-bedroom that had a leaky ceiling and a heater that sounded like a jet engine. I expected a hike. Maybe $2,200. The market was tough. I tapped the email. It opened. I froze. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again. Dear tenant. We are pleased to offer you a lease renewal for the upcoming term. Based on our new dynamic pricing algorithm, your adjusted monthly rent will be $9,450. $9,000. I whispered. The word felt heavy in my mouth. I scrolled down. Maybe it was a typo. Maybe it was a yearly total. Monthly installment, $9,450. Security deposit adjustment, $18,900 due at signing. My rent had increased by 472%. I felt the blood drain from my face. $9,000 was more than I made in 2 months. It was more than a mortgage on a mansion. It was insanity. I grabbed my coat. I didn't even sit down. I marched straight out the door, down the stairs, I wasn't risking the elevator again, and into the leasing office on the ground floor. Greg was there. Greg is the property manager. He is a man who has turned incompetence into an art form. He was leaning back in his chair, feet on the desk, scrolling through TikTok with the volume up. "Greg," I said, slamming my phone onto his desk. "Look at this." He didn't jump. He barely looked up. He swiped to the next video, a girl dancing in a kitchen. "Busy, Saul. Unless the building is on fire, send an email." "I got an email," I said, my voice tight. "It says my rent is $9,000. Greg finally looked at the phone. He squinted. He shrugged. "Yeah. The algorithm set the prices this morning. Dynamic pricing. It's based on real-time market data. Supply and demand, buddy. Supply and demand." I shouted. "We live next to a rendering plant. The elevator is broken. The hallway smells like soup. Who is demanding to pay $9,000 for this?" "The computer knows more than you do," Greg said, tapping his temple. "It scans the whole city. If it says $9,000, it's $9,000. The algorithm is never wrong. It's a glitch, Greg. Fix it." "I can't," he yawned. "Corporate locked the pricing. I don't have override authority. Besides, it's not my problem. Pay it or vacate. You have until midnight tonight to accept or we list the unit." "Midnight?" I stared at him. "You're giving me 12 hours to come up with $10,000 or be homeless." "That's the system," Greg smiled. It was a lazy, cruel smile. "Don't let the door hit you. Actually, do let it hit you. Maybe it'll fix the latch." He went back to his phone. I stood there, vibrating with a rage so pure it felt like I could heat the building with my own body. He wasn't going to help. He didn't care. He was hiding behind a machine because it was easier than doing his job. The algorithm is never wrong, I repeated. Never, Greg confirmed, not looking up. Okay, I said. You're right. I'll vacate. I walked out. I went back to my apartment. I didn't pack. Not yet. I opened the building's private tenant forum, a Discord server we had set up years ago to complain about Greg. I posted the screenshot. Me, anyone else get a rent hike today? Mine went up $7,000. The replies came in a flood. Unit 304, mine is $8,200. Unit 512, $10,500. Are they insane? Unit 201, I thought it was a joke. I called Greg and he hung up on me. It wasn't just me. It was everyone. The AI had hallucinated a luxury market that didn't exist. Probably because a new high-rise was being built 3 blocks away, restricting supply temporarily, and the bot interpreted the scarcity as infinite demand. Malicious compliance, I whispered to the screen. I typed a new message. Greg says the algorithm is never wrong. He says pay or vacate. He refuses to fix it. So, let's vacate. All of us. Today. Unit 304, are you serious? I replied, check your lease. Clause 4.2. At the end of lease term, tenant may vacate without penalty if renewal terms are rejected. Most of our leases end this month because they bulk signed us last year. If we all reject the renewal today, the system marks the units as vacant tomorrow. Unit 512, what does that do? Me, it crashes the supply and demand curve. If occupancy drops to 0, the algorithm will panic. It's designed to fill units. If nobody wants them at $9,000, what do you think it will do? There was a pause in the chat. A long, digital silence. Then, the confirmation started rolling in. Unit 304, I'm in. I can stay with my sister. Unit 201, screw Greg. I'm packing. Unit 512, let's burn it down. We moved out. It was a frenzy. People were throwing clothes into bags, loading cars, helping each other carry sofas down the stairs because the elevator was still broken. By 10 p.m., the building was a ghost town. 30 units. Empty. I slept on my friend's couch that night. I set an alarm for 8 a.m. The next morning, I opened the Pineview Management website. I refreshed the page. The building listing appeared. Pineview Apartments. Available units, 32. Current price, $9,450 per MO. The system was holding strong. It thought we were bluffing. It thought the demand was still there. I waited. Thursday passed. Friday passed. The building stayed empty. Greg was presumably sitting in his office, probably happy that nobody was bothering him with repair requests. He didn't check the occupancy logs. He didn't care. Saturday morning. 72 hours post-exodus. The AI's emergency occupancy protocol kicked in. I was eating cereal when my phone buzzed. It was a notification from Zillow. I had set an alert for the building. Price drop, Pineview Apartments. I clicked the link. Rent, $100/month. I choked on my Cheerios. $100. The AI had panicked. It saw zero demand. It saw a massive vacancy rate. It decided that the property value had collapsed, or maybe it defaulted to a placeholder value to generate leads. It didn't matter why. It mattered that it was live. And it wasn't just Zillow. It was on the official company site. Special offer, lease today for $100 per MO. 12-month fixed term. I opened the Discord. And said, go go go. Apply now. $100 rent. The chat exploded. I clicked apply now for Unit 402, my old apartment. I filled out the form. It took 2 minutes. My information was already in the system from my previous tenancy, which made the background check instant. Application approved. Generate lease. I clicked yes. The digital lease appeared. I scrolled to the payment section. Monthly rent, $100. Term, 12 months. I signed it. Saul Goodman. Not my real name, but you get it. Lease executed. Welcome home. I got the confirmation email. I got the door code. I wasn't the only one. Unit 304, got it. Unit 512, signed. Unit 201, I'm moving back in tonight. Within an hour, 20 former tenants had re-signed leases for their old apartments at 1% of the original cost. We drove back. It was a convoy of returning refugees, laughing, honking, waving leases out of car windows. I walked into the lobby. Greg was there. He was holding a coffee, looking confused at the sudden influx of people carrying boxes back into the building. What is going on? Greg demanded, standing up. You guys vacated. You can't just come back. We rented them, Greg, I said, holding up my phone. New leases. Rented them? He sneered. At $9,000. I knew you'd crawl back. Nobody else would take you. Not exactly, I smiled. I showed him the lease. Monthly rent, $100. Greg's eyes bulged. He grabbed my phone. What is this? This is fake. You photoshopped this. It's a PDF from your portal, Greg, I said. Check the system. Greg ran to his computer. He typed furiously. His face went from pale to a deep, alarming shade of red. $100, he shrieked. This is a glitch. The system broke. You can't move in. I'm canceling these. You can't cancel a signed lease, Greg, I said, stepping closer. It's a binding legal contract. Executed by the landlord, which is the AI you put in charge. I'll override it, he yelled, reaching for the phone. I'm calling corporate. Go ahead, I said. Tell them. Tell them you ignored the mass vacancy for 3 days. Tell them you told me the algorithm is never wrong. Tell them you let the machine set the price at $100 because you were too lazy to check the dashboard. Greg froze. The phone hovered halfway to his ear. He realized. If he called corporate, he would have to admit he wasn't monitoring the building. He would have to admit he let 30 tenants walk out because he refused to address the initial error. He would have to explain why the building just lost millions of dollars in revenue. He slowly put the phone down. You can't stay here for $100, he whispered. We won't make payroll. We won't be able to pay for maintenance. I asked. You weren't paying for that anyway, Greg. The elevator is still broken. I took my keys, my old keys, which I never turned in because he never asked for them, and walked to the stairs. Welcome home, everyone. I shouted to the lobby. The next week was the best week of my life. I paid my rent for the entire year with a single check for $1,200. But Greg's week was a nightmare. Corporate found out. Of course they did. Their revenue projection plummeted. They sent a team down. Suits. Serious people. They audited everything. And that's when the second bombshell dropped. When we moved out, we had all filled out the move-out condition form online. We were angry. We were detailed. We documented the mold. The leaks. The rats. The broken lights. We uploaded photos. Hundreds of them. Usually, Greg would delete these or mark them as resolved. But because he didn't process our move-outs, the system did it automatically when we rejected the renewal. The reports went straight to the corporate server. They saw everything. They saw 5 years of neglect. They saw safety violations. They saw why the AI thought the building was low value, enough to drop the price to $100 once the demand vanished. The AI hadn't just glitched. It had accurately assessed the value of a building run by a slumlord. I was in my apartment when I heard the shouting in the hallway. It was Tuesday. 1 week later. I opened my door. Greg was standing there with a security guard and a woman in a sharp blazer. The woman was holding a box. "You're fired, Gregory," the woman said. Her voice was ice. "For negligence. For gross mismanagement. And for costing this company $4 million in annual leases." It was the computer. Greg screamed. It was the algorithm. "The algorithm reacted to your data," she said. "Or lack thereof. And this tenant." She pointed at me. "He warned you. We saw the logs. You told him it wasn't your problem." Greg looked at me. His eyes were wet. He looked like a child who had lost his favorite toy. "Saul," he pleaded. "Tell them. Tell them it was a trick." "The algorithm is never wrong, Greg," I said. He was escorted out. The woman turned to me. "Mr. Last name?" "Yes." "We are reviewing the leases," she said stiffly. "Obviously, $100 is not sustainable." "It's a contract," I said. "I have a lawyer. The entire building has a lawyer." She sighed. She looked at the peeling paint in the hallway. She looked at the broken exit sign. "We know," she said. "We aren't going to fight the leases. It would cost more in PR damage than we'd recover. You win. For this year." "And the repairs?" I asked. "We have a new management team starting tomorrow," she said. "The elevators are scheduled for repair on Friday. We are repainting. We are fixing the heat." "Good," I said. "Just." She paused. "Please don't post about this on Reddit." "I make no promises," I smiled. "I'm sitting in my apartment now. The heat works. The lights work. The elevator hums smoothly in the shaft. I pay $100 a month. I have an extra $1,900 a month in my pocket. I bought a new car. I paid off my student loans. Greg is working at a car wash down the street. I saw him yesterday when I drove by. He was scrubbing a tire. He looked miserable. I didn't honk. I didn't wave. I just let the algorithm of life do its work. Because sometimes, the system is broken. But sometimes, if you push the right buttons, the system breaks the person who deserved it. So, tell me. Am I the monster for bankrupting my property manager and exploiting a glitch to live nearly rent-free, or did I just debug the housing market?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.